Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. You guys are going to have to excuse my manners. Y'all have seen this old girl sitting around the garage for a couple years now, and I've never taken the time to introduce you guys to her. This is my 1981 Z28 Camaro, and in this video we're going to take a look at the car. I'm going to show you some of the good and some of the bad about the car. I'm also going to give you some of the plans that I have for this car and just give you a really good close-up look of my 1981 Camaro. Before we get into this video, I just want to say that I am not switching projects. I am going to continue to finish Project Overkill before I actually start on this 81 Camaro. This 81 Camaro, if all goes well, will be probably a few years down the road at least, but it is next on the agenda. And I actually want to do about 3 videos on this car, 1 on the deck lid and 2 on the passenger door. And that's the reason I really wanted to make this video, to show you the car, let you know a little bit about it, and then to just give you a heads up on some of the videos that I've got coming down the line here. But again, we are not switching projects. This is all part of the plan to help me actually with a few things with Project Overkill, and it'll probably make more sense as time goes on. But anyway, let's get to it. Alright, right here is first glance. It is a T-top car, and I'm a big fan of T-tops. The last time this car was on the road is 05. That's actually when I bought the car. With the car being an AC car, my plans on this firewall is to actually smooth it out. I want this firewall totally smooth, and I'm going to go with the vintage air system. We use the 134A on it, and I really don't want to see anything on the firewall except for the this side over here, the steering column and the brake booster. You'll see that stuff, but other than that, that'll be it. All these holes over here for wiring harnesses and all that's going to be filled in. All the original front sheet metal is down in my basement area of the shop, and it's in pretty good shape with the exception of the front nose. The quarters on this car are not in bad shape at all. Actually, the quarters look really good on this car. The floors have your typical rot right out in the back here where the torque boxes are. Same thing on that other side. There's some rot over in that area as well. The rest of the floors are not too bad. There's a little bit of some places right in that area. And again, the toe board area, there's some places that need to be addressed. But other than that, it's really not that bad. And once we get into it, it's probably going to have a lot more rust in the bottom of the quarters here in front of the rear wheels. You see I've got a pretty good hole right there. I got a feeling that is due to it being a T-top car. These things are pretty notorious for leaking. I've got the same issue on this side, just not as bad. So yeah, this is pretty thin. I got a lot of parts for overkill stored in this trunk, but the deck filler doesn't seem to be in nearly as bad a shape as the one for overkill. I do have the typical rust on the inner tail panel, but again, it's not that bad, but some of it will have to be addressed. You can actually still see the 81 decals right there on this car where they were folded over behind the door. This car's had one repaint. Jams weren't repainted. They just did a quick job on the outside. You see all this is all still original. This picture here is exactly what my car would have looked like as it came from the factory, minus the Cragger wheels. There's several different options of wheels that this car could have had, but pretty much that's the color of it with the blue stripes. So what are the plans for this car? Well, pretty much a factory style restoration. It's going to have an old school 350 or 327 as the engine, the original Super T10 transmission, and the original 10-bolt rear end. Now I'm actually wanting to do a Fast Times at Ridgemont High tribute car. I'm pretty sure that car was a 79 Camaro. It was silver with the blue stripes. Now mine won't be totally correct as far as the car in the movie, especially with this being an 81. But there's certain things between the years of 78 through 81 that I like. But I have the turbine wheels for the car, and like I said, I plan on painting it silver with the blue stripes, and I plan to integrate some things from the 78 model and 79 model and the 81 model into this car. It won't really be a factory correct restoration, but for somebody that doesn't really know the year differences of the cars between 78 and 81, it'll still be recognized as a late second gen Camaro. There's just certain things I like better, like I had mentioned in a previous video that I'm wanting to actually put a 78 dash in the car. I like the 79 fender vent. I like the 80 and 81 hood better with the reverse cowl with the flap, which I do have for this car. Just certain little things like that. The 80 and 81 that had the grill emblem and the gas tank emblem that says Z28, I have those and plan on implementing those. The only thing I'm really not sure about yet is what stripe package that I'll go with. Whether or not I'll go with the 81 stripes or the 79 stripes. Right now I'm thinking about going with the 79 stripe kit. I bought the car as an intent of being just a driver car, and I was planning on driving it around, fixing it up a little bit as I went. And when I got the car, it was leaking just about every fluid that it had, and the original motor had a gear drive in it. Not to mention the seats were really worn, and my wife said, we're not riding in it. My wife said, I'm not riding in that car with an interior looking like that. I mean, it was pretty bad. Had an external horn button on it. I mean, it was just typical. The wiring harness was cut up pretty bad. So the more I got into it, it just began to snowball on me. First thing I did was pull the interior and had it redone, which it's ready to go. But then I found the rust in the toe board area, rust over there in the passenger part, and then I found the rust that I showed you guys back at the torque boxes, which is a pretty serious problem. that need to be dealt with right at that time before I even put it back on the road. I had a friend of mine that really wanted the motor. He had a 350 that was just rebuilt, so we did some trading on it, and then later on I wound up selling that 350 and kind of didn't have a motor for the car anymore. Then it started getting cold. At the time I only had the 24 by 24 bay, and I was really struggling to get this thing back on the road. And my wife said, you know what, it's too hard to work it on two of these cars at one time. You're gonna have to make a decision. And she was right. And what I wound up doing was putting this car in storage and continuing back on the 72. And then later on, we were able to get this bay built, and I was able to bring the car home from the storage unit, and it's just kind of waiting in the process to be restored now. It was really a big mistake on my part. I wish I'd never taken this car off the road like I had. One thing about it though, I've kept it inside and I've kept it preserved, so it is definitely restorable versus setting it out in the yard or something like that. So I've kept the car restorable by all means. I got a lot of new parts for this car, a lot of hard to come by parts, some really nice pieces to go on this car. Got the original NOS shifter ball that are pretty hard to come by. I've got actually got a set of NOS taillights for this car. So this should be a really fun build, and I am really looking forward to getting to this car. But like I said, we're going to finish overkill first, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, you've seen this car sitting around the shop quite a bit, and I've never have introduced it to you, never told you my full plans for this car. So I wanted to get a video out, let you guys know where we're headed. If this is your first time visiting the channel, I want to invite you to subscribe and follow along with the build that we have here, and we'll eventually get to this one. So guys, until next time, when I have a little bit more progress, I'll be back online. Thank you guys.